Morning, everyone. I almost got carried away talking to Lynn and Marianne, and so forgot that we're having worship service. Oh yeah, 10 o'clock. So welcome, everyone. It's good to see you. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Kent. We are a spiritual community that seeks to be diverse and inclusive as we inspire love, work for justice, and grow together in community. I'm Randy Bish, and I'm serving this morning as a worship associate along with Julie Swango, who will be leading service today. So I'm looking forward to it, and I know that you will be inspired to change and to think. We extend a special welcome to our visitors who are here with us this morning. We're glad that you're here. You could have chosen to do anything else, but you chose to be here with us. So we thank you on this nice, cool, breezy day. I heard somebody's going to work on their roof, so afterwards, if you want to help them out, you can stay. And we have some beautiful flowers here coming in this morning. Heidi Schaefer-Bish, whom I know personally, is bringing those for us. And we can put those right here to beautify our auditorium a little bit. Thank you. Thank you, Heidi. Very pretty. Matches your face. So it takes many hands to create a worship service. It takes a team. And we are appreciative to our team who work hard to put things together to create a memorable experience for you, for me, for all of us together in our community. So if you would, just take a moment and greet those around you where you're seated, say good morning and say hello, and introduce yourself or whatever you would like to say. So obviously, we like to be welcoming, and radical hospitality is one of our primary and highest values as a community, trying to be inclusive and diverse and welcoming and loving. There are people who are joining us on Zoom, and they are joining us via camera in the back. So if you would, just turn and wave and say good morning to the folks on Zoom. Hi, folks on Zoom. Welcome. Welcome. Is that the camera? Yep. Okay. Good morning. Yeah, okay. Good morning and welcome. Let's take a moment to pause and receive a breath. I don't know how your morning has been, if it's been hectic or calm, either way. Just to breathe, center, being present for our worship service this morning. We do invite Spirit to be present among us as we seek inspiration and hope while we explore the tech jungle. Come, shall we worship together?
Here we go into the unknown. 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 I walk. Here we go with you into the unknown. I walk. Here we go with you into the unknown. I walk. Here we go with you into the unknown. I walk. Here we go with you into the unknown. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. We'll find our way.
As Unitarian Universalists, we light a flame within a chalice to unite us in worship. It reminds of our ongoing search for the light of truth within us and among us. The chalice is also a light to guide us on our shared journey and a reminder that we are all interconnected in the great web of existence, of which we are each a beloved part. As Randy lights our shared chalice, I invite those on Zoom to light your home chalice. Please join me in the reading these words from the Passover Haggadah that are in your order of service or on the screen. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of freedom.
Our story this morning is Circles All Around Us by Brad Montague, illustrated by Brad and Christy Montague. See what I did there? Begin by drawing a circle on the ground around each shoe. A safe little place for one person, nobody in this circle but you. You could keep that circle closed to nobody but yourself, but that would be like a library with just one book on the shelf. So let's draw a bigger circle for you and your family to share. Now you see what can happen in a full circle of care. It becomes a happier circle as more loved ones come to stay. And wouldn't it be even better if all your friends could come and play? So you stretch and you draw your circle even wider than it's been, and let a few more people know that they're welcome to come in. In the circles all around us, everywhere that we go, there's a difference we can make and a love that we can show. Yet there are still so many outside the circle who are different in all they do, though it feels slightly uncomfortable. We can draw a bigger circle for them too. It doesn't mean that circles are easy. It can get harder the more we share. But wonderful things can happen when love is known and felt everywhere. As time passes, our eyes open. We see others we really care for. And that's when we ask ourselves, well, what's this circle really for? So let's create bigger circles all around us for the rest of our days. Let our caring ripple out in a million little ways. In the circles all around us, everywhere that we all go, there's a difference we can make and a love we can all show. As our circles grow and grow, we watch them wonder-eyed. Remember, the first circle started with just the love that you hold inside. So I wonder if our children are ready to head over to class. Let's sing them to their RE class this morning, where there will be snacks from around the world. Let's try some new things together.
You are the light of our lives. You are the hope for the future. Your song fills the air with the love that you share. So thank you. You are the light of our lives. You are the hope for the future. Your song fills the air with the love that you share. So thank
This is our spiritual home, and here we learn how to be human and how to deepen relationships with the sacred. To do that, we create a time of shared silence and reflection for each of us to connect with what we each hold to be of ultimate meaning in life. Some of us pray, others reflect, while others meditate, others offer gratitude in their hearts, or just simply be. The how really doesn't matter. What does matter is that we are reminded of who we truly are. And we have a chance to reflect on life and all of its wonder and to reconnect with the sacred and mystery that is the very heart of life itself. Let's take a moment to enter that time of silent reflection. Each week we set aside time to not only reflect, as we just did, but to think about things that are personally related to us. We may have sorrows or struggles, losses, some perhaps that are breaking our hearts. We may have joys. We may have celebrations that make our hearts sing. If you are on Zoom and would like to share a concern, please do so in the chat box, and we'll read that for you in just a moment. We do have some yellow cards that have been handed to me for concern that we can share together as community. Vivian Sandlund shares this concern. Her daughter's godson needs a heart transplant who is 1 year old. What's his name, Vivian?
Samir.
Samir.
Yeah, he's born with heart problems, and he's in Columbus now in the hospital.
We'll remember him. Heather Pritchard shares this concern. Her dearest friend since childhood, whose name is Catherine Moore Giesland, lost her battle with breast cancer 5 years ago today. Catherine, she says to Catherine, "You showed me what love could do to mend and repair anything. Miss you, and thank you, Kit Kat." Love, hugs and kisses. Our hearts are with you, Heather. And Margaret Wickersham shares that after illness, John's mom is in rehab facility, hoping to get strong and go home. Go home is starred.
I shared it, but I didn't write my name, Holly Wickersham. That's
Oh,
my mother-in-law.
oh, sorry, Holly.
It's my bad.
Yeah. So we'll remember Margaret and hopefully to go home soon. Let's just take a moment together as community lifting these up with our heart, mind, whatever you need to do. Pray, think, mention their name. Let's just present these to Spirit, to mystery, for healing, for strength, and for hope. Along with losses and struggles, we are happy once in a while, aren't we? We smile once in a while. We have joy. We have occasions to rejoice and celebrate. And we want to emphasize those so that they overcome the sadness and the struggles and the concerns. Diane Cardew shares that she is very grateful that her husband, Mike, who's here this morning, his prostate cancer was caught early and that his surgery was successful. He's recovering well. That's awesome, Mike. Yeah. Anyone else? Joy to share. The sun is shining. Trish.
Had a great week at Summer Institute.
Yeah, many of you went to Summer Institute.
Next year it will be at Oberlin.
Yes, next year at Oberlin. I've never been there, but I guess that's a good thing. So with gratitude for these and every blessing we receive in life, and for the gift of life itself, for the companionship of one another that we share in community on life's journey, and for the beauty of the world and this day of infinite possibilities, we raise our hearts in gladness and we say together, Amen. Amen. Have you ever been hacked? Probably 80% of you. Maybe. Well, a friend of mine is working on her computer, and a window allegedly from Microsoft IT appears saying, "Hey, we noticed that your computer is running slowly and appears not to be operating correctly. Please click here, and we will diagnose the problem for you and correct that right away." She clicks on the window and waits. Another window soon opens and informs her that they corrected some of the minor issues, but they discovered that there are some major problems and they can also correct those. However, it's going to require a small fee to correct them. They request a card number and a payment in order to continue. She enters her bank card number. They thank her and say they'll now fix her computer problems and let her know when they're finished. Of course, she hears nothing back. And the next day notices that a large number of withdrawals have been made from her account. She calls the bank to stop the withdrawals only after several $100s have been withdrawn. She's been scammed and hacked. So now she feels violated, like it was her fault, angry, and she harshly criticizes herself, wondering how she could have been so stupid to let that happen. That's a true scenario that happened to a friend of mine. And ultimately, and unfortunately, it's a scenario that happens all too often. Perhaps it's happened to you. We are moving further and further into a technological jungle. And as a supportive community, we want to demonstrate care and love for one another in ways that help us to survive the new modern times and the new modern threats that this new world is presenting in which we live. Technology has changed and is changing the world. It's changing how we relate to one another and the world. It helps us connect to our loved ones, bringing joy and helping to remove feelings of isolation and loneliness. Children in developing countries have benefited by gaining access to better education and resources through the initiatives being launched that provide computers and internet connection. People with disabilities are experiencing life-enhancing and life-changing moments through new limb replacements, hearing and vision-assisted technology, and helping to solve mobility issues. There's no question that technology has improved the quality of our lives in several ways. However, let's remember technology is simply a thing. It's not sentient with a heart and a soul. We are the sentient beings with hearts, souls, and intellects. We're the ones to use technology, not for technology to use us. And here at UUCK, we have discovered ways to use it to help build our community in very positive ways. It's helping us here, right now, to come together mindfully and joyfully in worship and to flourish together into the future.
Before I begin, I'd like everyone to take a look at your order of service or on the screen. Next slide, please. I am truly impressed with the work of Judy Brannon, what she did with this cover. She used a large suite of software with many special plugins to create this cover. I know she spent many hours working on creating this artwork. I asked her to share with me the details of her process, and I was just amazed at the complexity involved in creating it. If this wasn't enough, she also provided me a second option for the cover art. What a wonderful time we live in, where we can be so creative using technology. Thank you, Judy, for your excellent work. Either cover would have been perfect. I remember my parents taking me to the computer store. It was 1981, I think. So I was 8 or 9 years old. I had played video games before and been to the arcade, if you guys remember those. There's still a couple around. But these devices looked different. The computers at the store had keyboards attached to them. Some of them had black screens with glowing green text, and others connected right to a television. I was very excited about the idea of having one of these amazing machines in our home. Our family visited the store a few times before finally settling on an Atari home computer. I recall the first night when we brought the computer home, unpacked it from the box, along with a few game cartridges, 3D tic-tac-toe, and chess. If memory serves correctly, my parents followed the instructions and hooked up the computer to our home TV, and with that, I was hooked too. We quickly went through a series of upgrades. First, we returned the Atari 400 with its odd flat keyboard and upgraded to an Atari 800 with the more natural raised keyboard and extra ports for connections. Then we bought extra memory, more games on cartridges, and a cassette drive. We quickly, let's see here, yes, this allowed loading of programs onto the computer and, more importantly, saving the data entered into the computer for later recall. We eventually purchased our first disk drive with the promise of quickly loading and saving programs and data. During this time, there was a growing community of people sharing software with each other. The disk drive made copying easy. Over time, my family acquired a very large library of software obtained through these communities. Likewise, our family would have people come over in the evening or weekends and spend time just copying these programs onto blank disks, sharing what we had with others. In elementary school, in junior high, I too would take these very same discs with our programs, meet up with my friends, and we would copy the programs so my friends could also enjoy them. Of course, as a kid, I was marginally aware of the idea of copyright and knew at some level this was wrong, but it was all just part of the culture I grew up in, and I didn't think much of it. I grew up in the home computer age, and I learned early on about programming computers. I started learning basic programming around age 9. My first substantial program was called Star Math. After picking a skill level and deciding to practice addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division, the user would answer a number of math problems. Once the user completed all of the problems, the program rewarded the user with a short animation with rudimentary sound of a spaceship launching to the stars. I remember my brother laughing at me because of the spelling mistakes and on a few of the screens. I also learned computer programming from watching my father and his friends take a go at it as well as from reading books and magazines that were in the house. I also learned a lot from reviewing the programs written in BASIC. Since I could run the list command, doing so showed me all of the instructions the programmers used to create the program. Magazines were also an excellent place to learn about writing computer programs. Magazines like Compute, Analog Computing, and Byte had program instructions printed to study. I would also type these programs into the computer and modify them. Computer programs shared in magazines was another reinforcement to the culture of sharing that I grew up with. As a child and teenager, other forms of casual copying occurred. I would use blank cassettes to record songs I heard on the radio that I liked. If a friend got a new music album, that too would get copied onto a cassette so we could all share and enjoy it. At school, teachers would send me to the office to make copies of assignments. Sheet music was also copied pretty freely. My instructors would provide copies at school and during private lessons. Little, if anything, was ever mentioned about the ethics of this practice. Copying and sharing just felt like how the world worked. Over the years, I grew uncomfortable with consuming music and using sheet music I had not purchased. I wanted to honor the artists and ensure I was doing my part to respect their work by purchasing instead of copying. I, however, hadn't developed the same ethical concerns about copying computer programs. In 2006, I was struggling financially, and I needed access to a computer for various purposes, accessing my digital songbook, various writings, my bank account, photos, music I had composed, and drawings I had created. My children needed access to computers to print schoolwork and perform various tasks online as well. I had an old laptop that I had installed Microsoft Windows and several other programs on. I had obtained copies of these programs from a family friend. One day, after a round of updates to the computer, I received a warning that the software may not be genuine. I would no longer get updates. The lower left corner of the desktop also adorned with a similar banner. You can sort of see that at the bottom there. It's a little hard to see, but there's this little logo, and when you signed in, it also stuck on the screen. I felt a bit embarrassed by this and was a little mad at my friend for giving me what I thought was a legitimate copy of the software. I was mad at Microsoft for asking me to pay. The company was worth billions, but mostly I was mad at myself. Having to see the banner on my screen felt like an affront to the culture of sharing I grew up in. The culture where the legality of sharing programs was not really discussed or honored. I knew stealing was wrong. I knew deep down inside the culture of sharing I grew up was wrong, and I was wrong for participating in it and benefiting from it. Every time my computer turned on, my children and I were reminded of the poor choice I made until I corrected the issue. Unfortunately, I couldn't just purchase my way out of this situation. Financially, I was broke, flat broke. I couldn't afford to buy all the programs I needed to run my computer. I also couldn't, in good conscience, justify continuing to use the computer as configured. I was stuck. As I pondered the options to resolve my computing issue, I was also struggling with the feeling that sharing was somehow bad. Digital technology has made the act of copying so very easy to do. But without specific permissions to allow such copying and distribution of these copies, this type of sharing is not, in many cases, legal. Sharing itself is not bad, but flaunting the legal protections granted to creators and owners of copyrighted works is the real issue. Most music, writing, artwork, videos, and computer programs are assumed to have a copyright that protects the creators of and owners of the copyrighted work and limits others from copying and distributing these works. Admittedly, I had heard of programs that were free in cost. Most of what I was familiar with was what was called freeware or shareware. These programs were free to use, but many had built-in limitations or annoying ads with requests to pay to get access to all the features or remove the embedded ads. Freeware and shareware didn't seem like the answer to my problem. I had also heard of programs that claimed to be free software. Free software is a term that I found both confusing and also intriguing. As it turns out, many of the people involved in creating and supporting free software had also grown up in a culture of sharing. People creating free software have been, and still are, busy writing programs for every need and purpose, providing it free of charge, and ensuring that those who choose, sorry about that. People creating free software have been, and still are, busy writing programs for every need and purpose, providing it free of charge, and ensuring that those who choose to use it could modify it, make the changes available to others as well. This type of sharing ensures that programs remain available for all to use and modify. Free software was the answer to my problem with the computer back in 2006, and also the answer to my ethical dilemma. I could honor copyright and the wishes of the owners of the commercial programs I was using. I could do that by removing them from my computer. I could then install free software on my computer and use the programs without the ethical implications, all free of charge. I came to use free software because of my lack of money to pay for commercial programs. My growing uneasiness of the use of programs against the wishes of the program owners forced me to reevaluate my beliefs surrounding the culture of copying and sharing I grew up in. My lack of money and my ethical concerns are the reasons I began using free software. Today, those are not the main reasons I continue to use free software. I use free software because of freedom. I am free to use any free software as long as I like. I am free to modify the program if needed. Free software may be run on as many computers as I like. I am free to copy and share the programs with others. Free software uses copyright to respect users' freedoms while limiting the freedoms of those who modify the programs. This use of copyright ensures that free software remains free for all. This freedom promotes fair and equitable access to computing. Creators of commercial programs over the years have switched from one-time purchases to subscription models. This requires users of the program to routinely pay for access. Creators of commercial programs have also moved from providing programs that run on a personal computer to programs that run on a remote computer, the program creator's computer. Creators of commercial programs routinely adjust the terms of service, the terms of use of the program. These changes typically limit the freedoms of users and expand the freedoms of the creators of the programs. At times, I personally have felt hemmed in by the promise of technology. At times, it appears the only choice available is to engage with technology is to sign away my rights. At times, I've struggled to find a legitimate alternative. Maybe you too, at times have felt that you didn't have a choice. Maybe you too felt like the tech jungle we live in is just how it is. Accept the terms of service, hand over your credit card, hand over your data and your privacy. Then hope that in the future, the program and your data are still available for you to access and use. It is a jungle out there, but I am hopeful. I'm hopeful that we can make choices to counter the erosion of our freedoms and privacy while using technology. I am hoping that we can find ways to ensure access to technology. We can petition our government to do more to shore up protections of our freedoms and privacy when using technology. We can advocate for equitable access to technology. We can also choose to use and support free software. With free software, there is another way to navigate the tech jungle, a way that respects your freedom, your privacy, your data, and your ability to share. After the service, come to the back table in Hobbs Hall. There you'll find a flyer with some lists of free software programs that you can easily download and install on your devices. For those attending Zoom, at the end of the service, a link will be provided. Thank you.
Our spiritual community thrives in its shared life of worship, community, and ministry as each of us participate in the circle of giving and receiving. This is possible due to your generous gift of money, time, and care for each other and the recognition that we are all connected. To help others in our community thrive, we also give to agencies and organizations in Kent and beyond that serve those in need. So this month's special offering is in support of Heal Palestine. an organization that provides urgent humanitarian aid to those who need it most, bringing food, shelter, and health care to children in Gaza. So in the spirit of gratitude for the gift of one another and this community and the abundance that makes generosity possible, we give and receive the offering as a sign of our shared commitment to the life and work of this congregation and beyond. So we ask the ushers, if you would, to please come forward to take up the offering.
Before Diane sings our offering song, I wanted to let you know that the special music that we have been sharing today is also part of a musical culture of freedom and sharing. Free music, one could say. Some of the ways that folks allow the free and open sharing of music they have written is through a Creative Commons license, as with this next piece, which comes from an amazing collection of songs, which many of you may be familiar with. It's called the Justice Choir Songbook. And if you are not familiar with the Justice Choir Songbook, I encourage you to check it out.
Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. And change will come to you. Be the voice you want to hear in the world. Be the voice you want to hear in the world. Be the voice you want to hear in the world, and change will come to you. Be the light you want to shine in the world. Be the light you want to shine in the world. Be the light you want to shine in the world, and change will come to you. And change will come to you. And change will come to you.
As we bring the service to a close, and as Julie extinguishes the chalice, I invite you to say in unison the words together that will be found on the screen. However, pay attention, because I'm going to pause. So don't just be reading through it, because you haven't memorized, and you just sort of say, but not the light of the truth, and blah, 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 and fire of commitment. Okay, it's time to go. So pause with me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth. If you have the light of truth in you, how will you let it shine today? The warmth of community. We've had community here this morning. How can you add your warmth to enhance and encourage our community? Or the fire of commitment. What will you do with your commitment in our community? May we carry these in our hearts until we are together again. Good job. So today's benediction was written by Lorraine Bellamy. If here you have found freedom, take it with you into the world.
If you have found comfort, go and share it with others.
If you have dreamed dreams, help one another, that they may come true.
If you have known love, give some back to a bruised and hurting world.
Go in peace. Namaste.